Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your TheArtSherpa, and today we are on part 2 of how to paint Jon Snow. And this is a really interesting place to start because this is the painting's really awkward stage. We have some stuff to correct. We have some eyebrows to paint on. And right now you're probably thinking, eyebrows are more important than I ever knew. Yes, they are. Hi John.
Hi.
On the mic today is my husband, John. He controls the cameras. Make sure you see what I'm mixing on the palette. Make sure you see what I'm doing on the canvas so that you can recreate this for yourself at home. If you check the description below, there's a little more button. There'll be a link to our website where you can find a free traceable if drawing is not your favorite thing in the universe yet. Because I know you're going to take it up eventually. And also a link to where the reference photos came from. So if you guys want either the blue wash one that we're doing or the original stock photo, you can get those.
Cool.
How's everybody doing today?
Good. Very excited to begin part 2 of the snow journey.
Me too. It was really hard ending it here
Yeah.
yesterday. But I will say 2 things before I begin. Number 1.
Just 2 things?
2 things. Just 2. Fingers crossed. 1 is sometimes you have to walk away from your painting. You need to take a picture, look at it on your cell phone. You need to sometimes get away from it and look at it later because you're going to see things that you can't see when you're up on it. A lot of times I'm here at the easel and I'm up on something, and it isn't until later when I walk away they can be like, oh, I need to move that over. Oh, I need to light that differently. And that's just something you need to do in the artist process. The other thing is to know that there are stages in which your painting is very awkward and exposed. And I was talking to a friend about it and saying it felt like being in a dressing room before your Spanx were up and your friend walks in the dressing room to see how the dress looks. And you're like, I got no Spanx. You gotta go. So that's kind of where we are with this. And we're going to start out on, I'm going to remix my colors. Hopefully you guys had a wet palette so you didn't lose your paint from yesterday. And let's go over the materials again real quick. This is a 9x12 canvas board. I'm painting in acrylic paint. Let's look at the colors. It's a really simple palette today. I've got Prussian blue, burnt umber, yellow ochre, alizarin crimson, titanium white, zinc white, a little Mars black, and I'm going to do his blue eye, so I have some phthalo blue. And I'm going to mix my base skin tone again, which you know I like, which is just the yellow ochre.
We may have to scoot the palette over here once I turn the. I'll turn that on.
There you go.
There you go. Perfect.
And the alizarin crimson. I'll just move some tubes of paint over. Did it move again?
No. You know what? I don't think it did.
It's fine.
But I can move it. I control some of the horizontal and occasionally the vertical.
I'm making a very fair European skin tone. So I have my alizarin crimson and my yellow ochre, and you can see right here it's quite ready. I like to add a little glazing liquid to my mixture. Not any glazing liquid, the golden glazing liquid, because this slows down drying time. Other glazing liquid speeds up drying time and might ruin your little paint plop. For this effect, not for all effects, because it's glazing medium, which is cool. There's just a duplicate in names there, and I like to warn people before they go shopping. So once I have that kind of mixed up, I have a little kind of on my palette knife here. So I can come over and start mixing that in to my titanium white to start finding my base skin tone. And it needs to be light. I got almost too much pigment on my knife. Thank goodness the white is the cheap paint, right?
It's not like that ground ruby paint. What color is that? The one that there's the one the is it lapis lazuli that they grind up in there?
Yeah, it's there's only a couple paint companies. I'm gonna grab a little burnt umber and work that in there again just to.
What was the name of the oil company that did that?
I believe that is Michael Harding.
Yeah, it may have been.
Actually makes true zinc white. One of the few places you can get a real zinc white. And I think you might be able to from just a few of the companies. All right, so we've got our base colors mixed here.
Yeah.
We've got our guy, and the first thing that I need to do is my nostril's wrong.
What's wrong?
Super wrong with it, and I want to talk about what happened here. So this part of the opening for the nose should actually be coming off this lower area of the nasal fold here. and I put it up too high, and it makes it look like he's sneering, like he smelled something bad. He doesn't like it. So let's spare him that.
There were probably lots of bad smells there. It's good that we're watching television and not telesmelling.
It's so true.
Because there's an undead army. I mean, remember they drug a dead dragon out of the,
I'm not saying he doesn't have a right to sneer. I'm just saying it's a little sneery. So I'm taking my base mixture and a little of my burnt umber, and I'm adding it to my fair skin tone. And I'm going to come in here and just move it down with this. Just going to be like, nope, 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 nope.
No, you just erased it.
I just am erasing it, and I'm going to get a little of my skin tone. And I'll just put this here, soften this, so that when it's going to take me a little work to get this all fixed here, but it will be worth it because it's crazy wrong. Like crazy, crazy wrong.
Raven pointed out, wet dire wolf. Because it's never dry because it's always winter. So everything's always snowy and that dog is always wet.
Yes.
And it's not small.
And that's what he's smelling. He's smelling something and he's not into it.
Nope, you fixed it. He's like, I'm no smelling it now.
Now he has no nostril, and then we can kind of evaluate how his nose is doing, and it's obviously already a lot better. I'm going to grab a little of my brighter skin tone, the white mix here. And I'm going to come down the front of the nose and just make sure that we're talking about this stuff. Kind of lighten it up right here between the eyes. And I'm going to start right above here, coming off the nose. Let's just blend that back like you do. So this is a grass comb. If you guys, from yesterday, it's a filbert grass comb. And it is a terrific brush to use for this. And we are doing pretty darn good here. Let's take care of that there. Let me get a little of my burnt umber on here. You can even get a little more white. The glaze helps me get a clear, transparent coat. I'm going to come under here and just sort of refine all of this just a bit so it's not so crazy. I'll lighten that right there because it is crazy. Things you notice after you turn off the cameras will drive you crazy. That's one of the hard things about doing these live and not doing them pre-recorded, because in a pre-recorded thing, you'll catch your stuff and you'll be like, oh, that's just awful. Let's fix that. But nobody sees it on the time lapse. So I'm just adding his little highlight here. I'm just making sure that we're well lit, like you want to be.
Right.
I'm blending that down. Happy, 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 happy. Okay. So now that that's sort of fixed, I can try to correct. And I'm actually going to initially start out doing that with a little burnt umber and a little blue, because if I go into my black, it's going to be so strong, I'm not going to be able to get it fixed. So one of the first things is that I want to make sure, let me get my glasses on. This is precision work.
Yeah.
So much going on around my head and face. So I want to come underneath the edge of the nasal fold here and then put the curve in. And just very slowly get that put in. It's just one of those things. Blend it out here because the shadow's only deep at one spot. And then make sure it's fairly worked out there. And then there's another little area under here. It's dark. Before I put in his facial hair. His facial hair will help him a lot. It's shocking to think people ever thought that this was like a super good look. Right?
Mm-hmm.
During the Middle Ages, they're like, you know what I don't need? It's my eyebrows. Clearly, they weren't painting very often. All the artists went, don't. I'm going to add a little highlight with some more of the red into it. There we go. Right there. And start to take care of what's going on in the nose. So I've got to now get in the shading that I've got here. I'm going to get my lighter color. Might even do something, add a little of this yellow ochre to it. And some zinc. Because I'm going to just come here and start. There we go. Shading it off. Now, there's this shadow that comes off here. I've got to make sure that everything above that is a little bit lighter. And then the nostril reshades back into the fold. So I've got to catch that highlight right there. And I'm just softly brushing. This highlight goes into the nose. There we go. Hi, you've got a nose again. How's that feel? He feels much better about it. Back into the white. There's a highlight right here. A little bit coming off here. And then I like to put a brighter, and because I see it right here. And then there's one right here. That's starting to feel much, much, much better to my eye. Hopefully to your eye as well. Pop that highlight here. A lot happening right here at this lip edge. Nice and highlighted. I like getting these things in. I really genuinely do. Really bright right here.
Now, could you,
on this cheekbone.
When you demonstrate how you load that brush here next time you go over to the canvas, just how much paint you're putting on that, because that's a little different brush.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can do this with any brush, though, guys. I hear sometimes in chat, well, I read, because I listen to you guys all the time. Oh, I can't do that painting because I don't have that brush or I don't have that tool. These are all just tools. I would say the quality of the tool is important. I would say the size of the tool, like is the size of the tool the right size for the job and for your style of painting? Those things are all important. I like to have great tools to always share with you what I'm using, but it's not a barrier to you painting. Don't let that be the stoppage point. If you have a bright that you really like that works out for you, use it. Okay, load my paint.
Yeah, show me how you're loading the paint with that, so we can get a close look at how that, exactly how you're loading that up for use, because they want to make sure that's
So generally, I'm going to dip in water because it's been outside dry a little bit. Yep. I pick a color that I'm going to be working, right? So let's say take this red, and I go into this. I go brush, brush, brush. I'm at the edge. I don't go into this here because look how much paint I would get. I come from the edges. Can you see how edgy it is?
Yeah, I think so.
I sneak in. I don't avoid. Huh?
When you get it loaded up, I'll look at it on the close-up camera over there too.
Okay. So here's a load.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
I'm gonna just lightly make sure. You wouldn't think there's this much shading inside a nostril. Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to make sure it's in there because when you get it in there, it just looks so nice. And I'm going to take a little of this brown and a little of this blue. Makes this kind of gray color. Wipe it off there. Add a little of my flesh tone to it. And get my glaze. And I'm going to very carefully brush in a bit of this cool shadow. I mean, it needs to be here. Brush, 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 brush. But I don't want it to be overwhelming. And then it can come back this way a little bit under that. All right. So we have that little sucker in. I'm feeling pretty good about that. It's no longer haunting the heck out of me like it sometimes wants to. Soften this right here. Soft. So that's the trick with acrylic, is can I soften all my portrait edges enough? Or at least it is for me. Come here and create that nice flesh tone shadow. So let all that have a rest for a minute, like you do. And we'll think about something else.
Okay.
I'm going to grab a bristle brush. This is a number 4 Bright Cambridge. It's a mix of synthetic filament and natural bristles.
Okay.
So it doesn't get too soft, but it's nice and scruffly. And I'm going to start working out some of this nonsense that I have here. I'm going to mist my palette so things don't get all dried out on me.
Yeah.
I'm going to start putting in my little shaggedy bits, my shoulder, and all this little texture here. Because this is my forward layer and because it goes over my other stuff, I definitely want to make sure that I get all this painted in and then start adding the little hairs.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to take a little of my Prussian blue and a little of my brown and a smidge of my black. And I'm going to come here and talk about the little shadow that's a foot at this collar. I'm just scruffling back and forth. See me scruffling?
Mm-hmm.
Scruffling. I'm going to blend this area here. So where it was kind of not really finished or thought out, was just blocked in, it's starting to resolve out. Now I'm going to get some zinc. And I'm going to continue going back. If you just have titanium white, lighten with titanium white. It's just going to get a lot creamier. That's just all it does, is it just gets a lot creamier. And I like to use the combo of the zinc white and the titanium white to create pops of drama. Just shading this shoulder down. There we go. See, now it's a nice gradated shoulder. So it's lighter here and it gets, darker as it goes down, so you can kind of feel the light. And what I can do now, because I've, used the zinc, is I can just come into my titanium. And right here, I can brush in, just kind of softly on the edge of my brush, a little highlight. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
I like it. So now there's this cool soft blending and this cool fun highlight, and I'm happy with that. So back into my dark color, which is my Prussian blue and my burnt umber and a titch of black. I will come in here in the center area, put in this deep value that's coming down. These are deep, deep values. But I left kind of breadcrumbs for myself to follow yesterday by blocking in. So now I can take a minute with everything and refine it. Which is sort of fun to do. I'm going to get into my zinc. And I come right here. I'm going to start brushing in this color's highlight. And then some of this here.
Now, Kelly would like to know if
Hi, Kelly.
Can you use liquid white to get the same effect?
Liquid white or mixing white?
They would get the same.
Because there's an oil product called liquid white. And it's like a primer. It's a very transparent primer. I am not an oil painter, but as I understand it from, just knowing about paint, I would say if you're doing oils, yes, but don't put it in your acrylic. I'm just adding that there. Now I'm going to get another highlight. It's a highlight right there. Soft, soft, soft. Isn't it neat how it soft blends?
Yeah.
So if you've just really struggled blending your acrylics, you may want to add a little zinc to your kit.
Yeah.
This may have been your missing piece.
So it's interesting. Scripture Out Loud was saying here, I really don't know how you get through all of these long paintings. Do you ever get to the point where in a live show where you just want to throw in the towel and, because you're having to push through it?
Not yet, thankfully, other than sometimes if I'm sick, if I'm under the weather, it can be more challenging than usual. But mostly I'm pretty good and pretty happy here.
I would say more often than not,
rinsing out.
We have to cut the show short.
Yeah.
Because she'll be like, all right, I could spend another 2 hours here just making this cooler and more refined. But she doesn't want to make an unwatchable.
Yeah, it would just be unwatchable.
So it's then a lecture and not a
It is, and
afternoon show.
Very long stuff.
But we do those sometimes.
Well, we kind of did it for. We'll probably do something big for St. Jude Play Live when it comes back.
Oh yeah, definitely for that.
We like to do long paints, big stuff while we're fundraising for them, so you get those kinds of special episodes during that period of time.
And I think we're going to work extra hard this year, seeing how effective it was for us to be able to help them this year. And we weren't really as prepared as I think we could have been. Next year,
I think we're going to really bring it.
Yeah, I really want to help because I think that's great what we can do for the kids there. So,
all right, I'm going to come back with a slightly darker color. So burnt umber, Prussian blue, black.
And sometimes you guys just get hijacked into the conversation that a husband and wife have live.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. That could happen at a workshop.
Yeah.
I'm going to load up with some more zinc. And I'm going to come here and just make this little highlight here. This is this sort of vanishing, barely seen kit. Maybe apply some right here and a little bit here, just softly brushing it, leaving the dark values. So there's a real value to being loose in some areas and then very controlled in others. I'm going to wipe off my brush, but not wash it. And then I'm going to load with my titanium white. I'm going to come here and pop a little highlight. Right there. And maybe another little thought out one right here. So can you see how this just starts to make this all come up out of the woodwork here? Dry brush a little defining line. So I like how that's looking.
Yeah.
Super happy with that. I'll rinse out.
So Kelly was saying she has craft liquid white. So that's real transparent. Or more, I shouldn't say real transparent, but more transparent.
That might be. If it's an acrylic paint and it's transparent, so zinc is a particular color, and what it doesn't do is it doesn't really cream out or change the pigment of the parent paint. So you're lightening it, but without, adding a lot of white pigment to it. So if you're lightening your red, but you don't want your red to become pink, zinc white's really useful. I haven't used that product. What I would say is test it. And if it's great and it works, then use it. As long as it's acrylic, you should be fine. Okay. This whole kit is. I have mixed some Prussian blue and some burnt umber. A little zinc into it so I can see them. And I'm going to start putting in some hairs that we've got going. I'm going to need even a little more. Got to see them a little more. So I'm just making these little random brush strokes This is going to be a little bit like a Zentangle. A little more blue into it than that. And I'm going to start building in this little yak fur thing he's got going, which I'm sure is very functional above the wall. Well, this is fun over here. Some kind of crinkly bits. You're going to find that putting in this dark area really helped you. It was your friend that you didn't know you had. So this is going to take the piece to a surprisingly more objective or realistic stage. I do want to be really clear, the process for creating like a hyper realistic piece is totally different. Or to me is different. Because you kind of work an area and then you work an area and then you work an area and then eventually you have a whole piece. If you ever sit and watch the hyperrealists on YouTube, it's very fascinating to see how they construct their work. Well, I'm going to do a wiggle here. Don't forget to wiggle your yak fur. Wiggle your yak fur. You need to wiggle it. Just putting this in here so I can see it. Let's see how that's looking. Oh, see, it's getting all yucky.
You make it sound like it's a great thing. I've got yak all over me.
I'm going to get a little more black on here into my blue. And I'm going to make a bit of this that goes off into the distance so that it's not just contained in that first shape. See, that's going to be important. And I'm going to separate the hair I've got here from the back of the yak fur.
You know, I'm sure that the costumer who designed this is going to be like, you know, that's like $10,000 handmade replica of.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's like it's couture.
And that's all good.
I mean, like it is truly bespoke, but it's yak fur.
It's yak fur.
Mm-hmm.
For the purposes of what we're doing, we got some yak fur we're contending with.
They're like they love the shake your yak fur, wiggle your yak fur. There we go.
Wiggle it.
Wiggle the whack.
So this is a darker blue and black mix, and I'm creating some texture here. The new HD cameras are going to be able to see all this like in high. You're like going to be able to really actually tell the difference between the black background and these subtle color mixes that I've got going. It is going to be so changing.
It's.
I'm so excited. I'm going to actually be able to teach how to paint white and black fur because you'll be able to see how to paint white and black fur.
We have really good cameras now,
Mm-hmm.
but they came and did a demo here in the studio for us of what the new cameras are going to look like, and we were like,
whoa.
Oh my.
Oh my. If anyone knows George Sakai, he should paint with us.
It was awesome.
Just because I just would dig that so much. So I'm just making these interesting little structures. That's what you're doing. You're making these little structures, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just have a blast. Paint some structure.
So Karen would like to know, is his facial hair going to be anything like fur?
No.
No.
Well, I mean, okay, so with eyebrows and facial hair, what I actually do is I will darken the area under which I'm working a bit and then add the detail of the hair, including like the eyebrows.
Hmm.
And that's how I get my... Otherwise, I just look like a bunch of little lines. We won't like that.
Mm-hmm. Right now, he just sort of looks like a angry, eyebrowless guy.
Right now. I'm just taking my dark colors. I'm just making sure I've got dimensions over here. And I got to do a little of this over there, don't I?
Mm-hmm.
Look at this fur in. So let's come over here.
piece points out a really good thing. Really, this is the one place on the internet where you can learn how to paint yak fur.
Yeah. And necrotic beholder flesh.
Or dragon scales.
A lot of dragon scales.
You got a lot of that.
Oh. So we're just making sure that this line is, interesting. We want some boring line here. What's lovely is over here there's a lot less going on, so you don't have to talk that much even about what you're seeing. Strategy that you might like is sometimes if you're having trouble figuring out how to paint a thing and you're inclined to want to just do a bunch of straight lines for fur, pause for a second, take your mind away from all this information and pick one thing. This thing right here. Don't see the rest of this, just see this. Then pick another thing, maybe it's this thing, and just see this. Don't try to see all of this. If you find yourself just going hair.
Wow. Okay. This is totally believable. We have a really interesting community story that has come in.
Okay.
Can I share it with you?
Yeah, always.
Okay. So Kaya.
Hi, Kaya.
She says, Game of Thrones costume designer Michael Clapton made an appearance at the Getty Museum in 2016 and mentioned the Night's Watch cloaks had humble beginnings. They started life as rugs from IKEA.
So this is how you paint an IKEA rug.
The yak rug from IKEA. I wonder if you can.
I'm gonna go get a yak rug from IKEA now.
I want to make a Night's Watch cloak. We're gonna there's gonna be a run on IKEA rugs now.
I'm really glad that he's not snorting something he doesn't like anymore, but he really needs some. If you go like this, isn't it a good painting? You're okay, baby. Hold on.
Thank you, Karen. That was awesome.
Mama's gotcha. All right. So I'm going to, interestingly enough, I'm going to rinse out a bit. I'm going to take a little of my yellow ochre into my black and get some of my zinc into it. I'm going to add some of these warm highlights into this area. There's a bunch of them right here. Can we see these guys?
Uh-huh.
Little warm. So that's interesting. The warm highlights, the warm gray against the cool gray is our friend. And I'm just talking a little bit about this for IKEA rug. Just wiggle the IKEA rug. Okay. See how it's starting to pop?
Yeah.
I really love doing this stuff. Just giving it a little wiggle. Just jello it. Jello. And we don't really have any of this warmth over there. I don't know if you had noticed that. It's very cool on this side.
Nikki, I read a little comment there. Nikki thought it was really, really interesting. I'm going to zoom out so you can see this. So Nikki said that she thought it was really. She holds your brush so far back, it's practically touching the. She's practically touching the ferrule. So she thinks it's very interesting how far back you end up holding your brush.
So it depends.
Sometimes you.
If I'm doing detail work on a short brush, you're going to see me being up here, pinky resting, doing detail work.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to construct a large piece that I'm having to take a bit in and I need to get back from it so I can see it, you'll see me back up the brush. I'm going to sip coffee because I'll monologue because I really want to sip some coffee. So when I started out, at that time I was doing a lot of work at a table and not always at my big easel. And so I was really preferring short handle brushes. But when I stand and I work at a big easel, it's nice to have long handle brushes. This is really what they're for. Short handle brushes, if you're painting at a table, short handle. If you're painting at an easel and you're standing, long handle. That's why they made the different handles. Though there used to be these really long handle ones, and then I learned there was no brush standard, and that was just some crazy brush.
Yeah. So and that's how you'll. I think that what it comes down to is the best brush is the one you use.
The best brush is the one you use.
Right, so it's like, if you have a preference, then run with it. And realize that there are different tools and you can experiment and there are reasons why people do what they do, but that doesn't mean you have to do them.
Mm-hmm.
But understanding those reasons can help you perhaps get to a goal more quickly. Like holding a long-handled brush further back allows you to work loose and impressionistic. Isn't that correct?
Well, and it also lets you get back from your canvas and see things. Because there are some people that will work their long handles far back, but they're tight painters. It's really, I think, about vision.
Oh.
So I'm mixing some of my black into my yellow ochre and getting this sort of warm yellowish gray, offloading my palette knife. And let's get our highlights in, and then we're going to be good. Now I'm going to switch over to my titanium white. I'm out of my zinc, and I'm into my titanium.
Because you want it to be opaque.
I want it to be opaque, and I want it to really... Oh, look at the pop.
Uh-huh.
Different, isn't it?
It is different.
Not the same. So maybe... And listen, no oil artists have given me grief about painting acrylics. But sometimes there's a thing about, the soft nature of oil paint versus the hard nature of acrylic paint. Mm. But the thing about acrylics is that they can be anything. I'm having fun, guys. Fair warning.
And
we're going to be here a minute today, too, because we got to finish them up.
As I've looked at artists, I myself am not a painter. So I'm sort of like an armchair quarterback, right?
You just watch one every day.
Yeah. But as I watch, also there's gouache painters and there are oil painters, all different kinds of painters. And, an accomplished artist in any medium can achieve nearly any technique, with skill and practice. It's just, I'm not saying that anything is possible anywhere, but it seems like, you get people who figure out how to do just about anything with anything as long as they try hard enough. Make sense?
Yes.
Yes. So if you want soft edges with acrylic, just work at it.
People that have worked out egg tempera.
Yeah, there are.
That stuff is hard.
I mean, there are people who figured out how to fold paper and make animals with them. So there's a whole other magic trick there. Yeah. Not saying it's the same analog here. I'm just saying that you can,
I'm going to put a little highlight here. As it comes down, soften this into the background. And that is pretty good over here. Now, we have one more highlight we got to do over here, which is our burnt umber, a lot of our Prussian, a little bit of black, and our white. Titanium white.
Now,
titanium.
In a photo there.
More titanium.
More
blue, more titanium. In a photo?
Yeah, in that reference photo there, they've sort of blown out the white to make, and it's supposed to be snow on there, right? Not like a spectacular
No,
white.
And I was going to put snow on if everybody will indulge me, mostly because I just really want it.
No, there was
I really want the snow.
Julie was asking about the reference photo because it wasn't sure if it was reading as supposed to be like light shining off of that, like a highlight, or was it supposed to be like kind of like snow hanging on there? And
on the fur?
Yeah, and the reference.
It's snow.
Yeah. I think that
it's snow. I can show you. So I went and found the original source of the photo for you guys because this is what we voted on. But then I was like, a lot of people were like, oh, he has brown eyes and I don't like the blue. And I was like, well, I like the blue, but you might want brown. So, I found that and it's on the website and there's a link.
So, yeah, you can see they just cranked up.
By the way, still nailing it.
Yeah. They just cranked up the saturation and some
Yeah.
of the effects on that image to make him look unworldly.
Yeah, everyone's like, it's the White Walker version of Jon Snow.
Well, he's the magical White Walker fighter version of Jon Snow.
There we go.
He's been killed once before and come back. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the season, sorry.
John.
That was so long ago, you had to have seen all that stuff. I mean, that's like,
Actually, if you don't want spoilers, don't go on YouTube.
Yeah. I'm not...
All right, so I'm good there. I mean, if
I'm
I keep
sorry.
messing with it, I'm going to be unhappy. And I'm real happy with it right now where it's at.
And
So that's good. Let's get in some hair.
Sorry if I spoiled you guys. I'm not trying to spoil anything. I'm not
Let's
a
get in
spoiler.
some hair. Now, I'm going to use this reference photo for a second. Just so that I can catch the highlights of his hair. But I'm still going to use the color palette I've been working for the rest of this. But I've just got to start talking about like what I'm seeing in the hair. And then we got to get this curly hair in. And then I can finish his face. And that'll be awesome.
There seems to be a general consensus that the blue eyes are dreamy.
The blue eyes are super dreamy, and I'm into them, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm into them. So I've taken a little of my Prussian blue and black.
They were like, yeah, that spoiler was like 3 seasons ago. So it's like...
Okay, all right. I mean, as long as you guys
they
are
gave
all
me a
okay with
pass.
it.
You thinking different? Or no?
I'm just making sure I'm happy with this area here because I'm about to put some
In there?
some hair into it. So just make sure if you're coming into where your skin is that area is you're happy with the skin tone there. If you're like, oh, I'm going to get it later, then don't put this in now. Finish the whole face and then put in the hair. But I'm in the mood to do hair, so that's what I'm doing. Or at least the basis of the hair, and then I'll come back and put in some details in a bit.
Okay.
Because I've got to start talking about, he's got these curls. And so it's going to be important for me to catch these highlights and these lowlights and all the stuff going on in his hair.
Mm.
And it's involved, so I'm going to be here for just a second. All right, so let me tell you what I'm seeing. I'm looking at a ridge of light coming across here. And I'm seeing some more light. I'm looking for the highlights in the hair. Like highlight, highlight, highlight.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even notice. They had to shop out the dude who was standing behind him there.
Yeah.
There's like some extra guy over there who was just hanging out. It's probably like the director or something. And I'm like, it's some extra guy.
I'm going to just get this next layer in. Oh, that's too bright. Brushing it back. Just so that when I come and do the hair, right, which is going to be about details and stuff, I'm good. So just starting to get into some of the highlights. I'm not going to be able to do any of this over here yet. I'm just trying to get my next layer in.
Hmm.
I'm paying attention to the localic that's happening here. So even though this is early in the piece, I can start putting in major forms that I'm seeing in the hair, like this cowlick.
Hold on one sec. Which cowlick there?
Right here, the hair curves up, curls down, goes back. It's kind of like this character's whole thing. Cannot imagine how long a hairdresser works to pull that off, but when you're doing somebody's hair, it's very important to get the shape and architecture like that kind of considered, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So consider his cowlick when you're painting. Now we'll come back with highlights and little detail hairs. They're going to help us really, really talk about all of this. But we've just got to get some stuff in here. Some major shape. And make sure that we're a little more snowy.
Mm-hmm.
A little more Jon is in the snow. So I'm just using a zinc, as you can tell, to lighten. And I'm following the direction of the hair. When I'm towards the outer edges, I need to darken my paint so it's got a little better coverage if I need to change the shape of anything. Just need to make sure we're good. Are we good? Let's find out. A little more, you know, just look for these bits, these things that are happening. A curl that's very distinctive. Another curl that's very distinctive. Using the zinc, I'm just starting to painting curly hair can be very overwhelming. And like anything in art, you're going to want to take it just one little step at a time. But already, I mean, he's like more curly than he was. And we just did another layer. Just another layer. Now I do like this here, right here, to be a little more solid. Because when I pull the hair curls out, that will really frame everything. Uh-oh, I trimmed some of him off. I did some plastic surgery I'll have to fix.
Did you?
Yeah. So we have a good basis there. Let's start working him in. First things first. So I've got my skin tone, which is hopefully still in pretty good condition. I'm going to add some burnt umber to it and a smidge of my Prussian blue. And I'm going to come under here. Get some glaze if you can, just to keep it soft. And come under here and shadow this. Blending it, softening this edge. I'm going to also come up the jawline into this hair here. Up to about this point. So if you think where the nose is, I'm going to just softly brush it down. I wiped off extra pigment and I got some glaze. Coming under the chin. And kind of around here. Comes up a little bit here. That's just soft, 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 soft. Make it more glaze, make it more transparent. Go soft, 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 soft. See what I'm doing? Now you can get more into the blue and brown. And come right under here. Right at this jawline. And I'm brushing the direction of his beard. And I'm going to take a little bit of this dark off the side of his face, just a titch. Brushing this up, just a titch. This is all pretty light work. Under here again. Darkening. Right at the hair, darkening. Just building it up slowly, right? Brushing, brushing, brushing. Soft, 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 soft. Super fun stuff. Hopefully. Hopefully it's super fun stuff for
Yeah.
you.
He's looking kind of scruffity there.
Is he starting to look a little scruffity?
Yeah.
All right. Now, I want to be able to get in this part of his facial hair. I'm going to let this part dry, and I'm going to work out his lips, which is pretty much going to be me and a couple really small brushes. A couple really small brushes working out his lips. So there's a highlight right here I need to catch.
Hold on, let me go back over here and see what you're talking about, because we've got two different reference there. So
Highlight right here. Oh,
okay,
I got to switch back.
No, that's okay. I'm just making sure I'm tracking what you're doing there.
So I got to put these highlights that are in here. Got to get the highlight.
Okay.
So take a little of your yellow ochre, not too much, and a little of your lighter skin tone, and lighten it up a good bit with your titanium. We're going to add a little highlight right here to the top of the lip. Actually, believe it or not, comes down. And there's even a bit of a one here. And then one that kind of peeks out right here. Comes down. And this is going to be real interesting when we put the beard in, because these dark values and then how they play with those values, it's really fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Or it is to me anyways. So I'm going to get just a little more lip color on my brush, and then I'm going to get back into my base skin tone. I haven't rinsed though. I'm going to come right under here. I'm going to add a little of that. Just a smidge. Believe it or not, there's a little bit right here. I might even need to get into a smaller brush. Mm. I'm going to get my number 2 shader. I need a smaller brush is all it is. So I'm going to just pick up that color again. And I'm going to just make sure that that part of the lip is covered. There's definitely a little highlight that he's got right here. Want to work out. Now, if you think of this as his lip color, you use the base skin tone recipe, which again is your alizarin crimson and your yellow ochre, and then you lighten it with your base this skin tone recipe.
Right.
Sorry. Talking. His lips are pretty light in both pictures. So I'm going to make sure that they are. Need some glaze? Get some glaze. His lip will be darker on this back side. See? A little bit. And his lip is darker at where the pout meets. I'm not saying he's pouty. I've already talked about this, but you know, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take this darker pink we have right here and kind of shade this up and make sure this side of his lip is a little darker. I'm going to get a little more, and you can even smidge this, I know it seems crazy, a little of the Prussian from right here to create a bit of a shadow. Coming back. Little Prussian, a little brown, and a little of the base color, right? Got a little crazy there. So we're going to make sure he's got good shadow over there. I'm going to bottom the mouth over here. Take that in. Evaluate. I'm going to take a little of this blue dusted on my brush into a very light lip color. See how it's blued a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to help me capture the, I'll get my zinc out, capture the cold some.
There's a good question that just came in. I'm laughing because I hope that there's not an answer here that I'm going to be doing something wrong. So Nikki would like to know, does it matter which way you store your paints? Standing, laying down, on a rack? Because I know ours are in a bucket.
Yeah.
Is there a way we're supposed to store those paints that I'm not doing?
I'm sure there is.
You know, there's probably some paint companies.
I go through my paint very quickly, so I really haven't ever really worried other than temperature.
With caps on helps.
Caps on, yeah. Like if I get my caps on, I'm doing really good.
She's generally winning if we get caps on.
But what I would say is I imagine that there is, and if you wanted to find out what that exact perfect ideal storage would be, it's just another little highlight that I'm working out. You would go to Golden's blog, justpaint.org.
Yeah.
And be like, how to store paint, and it would tell you everything you could ever possibly
I'm sure, yeah.
want to know.
Now, I will I'm going to turn my mic up here just a little bit. One of the things that
There we go. How's that looking, guys?
Okay. One of the things that I would suggest for everyone with their paint storage and caps in general is before you throw away your old tube of paint, take the cap off of it and take that cap and store it. Like throw it into a little thing of alcohol so it cleans out, and then just keep that cap. Because how many times have you like lost a cap or broken a cap or like
I don't know. I always keep my caps.
Yeah. So we store all those. We got a little bin of caps that we keep around that have come in very, very handy. So I would suggest that to everyone.
So I'm going to add this shadow color to a couple places around his face now. But I'm going to do what I did before. I'm going to get my glaze because, you know, soft edges. I'm just trying to get the right value, the basis for what I'm going to be putting on carefully as I can. There we go. So this is harder. When you add facial hair, it changes the piece a lot, and it can get really challenging and frustrating for people. But this is key to this character.
Mm-hmm. I was just about to say what Tracy just said, and that's that he's looking a little bit like Samuel Tarley right now.
A little bit,
because it's got the roundness to his face right now. You haven't cut the angles in for his cheekbones,
right?
And so and Samuel has that lower cut beard on his face. So
that's true, and we're gonna take his up.
Yeah. So and so it does look a little bit, and probably here, let me zoom back out on him. I'd be willing to bet it looks a lot like him once you see the black.
We're just darkening where we're going to be putting the hair. See how we are? We're just darkening the skin tone. Where we're going to be putting the hair.
It'd be interesting to see him transform.
You know? So give that a resting minute because you've got a nice lip there. Look for any highlights that you missed. Because you'll always miss some. Always, always. It's amazing. And the highlights matter.
Sorry.
So
you were going to get paint. You just sometimes you go to get paint and then you go, oh no, I'm going to go touch it one more time, and so you psych me out, and I'm.
I
like,
do.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got my grain color that I've been using for the beard on my brush, and I'm getting into my base skin tone. I'm going to add some white to it. I'm going to come from here. just add a smidge of this very lightly. Here, I'm going to come up the hair. And then let's take that in just a titch. The temples. I'm going to wipe off and get my glaze and softly come in through there. See how that softened that edge?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to get a little of my, just a smidge of my dark skin tone color and just warm this up. And make sure that this is, there we go. A little rosier. Then I'm going to get into my zinc. And I'm going to keep softening.
So Julie,
right here.
Julie has an interesting question here. Have you ever used various sized fan brushes, tips for ends of hair or fur?
Yes. Yes, I have, and they're a good tool. I have one for heavy body paint. So that's how much I liked them. We made one
You designed
that was
one.
stiff enough for that because I think they're a good tool to have in the kit. It may not be the one I grab like every second of every minute, but it's a good one to have in the kit. I'm adding a highlight right here.
And keep in mind, guys, I know that cinnamon, there are so many advanced techniques and cool things you can do with like some of these cat's tongue brushes and clouds brushes and fan brushes. But cinnamon oftentimes tries to use, a lot of the standard simpler brushes like a bright, just because that's what you guys are likely to have to start with. So, I see her in her normal studio getting all sorts of cool stuff. Sorry, Cinnamon. I know you're painting there.
It's okay. I'm just adding another layer of highlight.
But don't be afraid at home to experiment.
Okay. I'm going to sip my coffee, which is hopefully still warm, and start to take in this part of him.
While you're doing it, can I warm up my coffee?
Yeah.
Because I don't have a warmer.
But see, he's starting to have shape now. He's starting to become himself, So that's kind of a nice thing. He's starting to look like himself, and he's starting to come in. It's like getting the Spanx up. Get my Spanx up. I'm going to keep resolving through here. A lot's going to transform when we put in the facial hair here. A lot of it's going to transform. A lot is going to change when we finish these eyes. And then when we put in his hair, it's going to be like, wow. Wow. Kind of tempted to put in the hair and then do the eyes just to make you guys wait for my favorite part of the whole painting, because painting the eyes is always my favorite part of the whole painting. I'm going to miss my palette here. Acrylic paint dries. All right, so if you have air conditioning on, if you have a heater on, if you're in a dry climate, if you're in anywhere but like, I don't know, perfect humidity, Southern California, acrylic paint dries. I'm good. Acrylic paint dries.
It really looks good. It's funny though, because you can see how it for a moment it was Samwell, but now it's transforming back.
Yeah.
The shade comes in. It's cool.
It's pretty okay.
It's funny. I can stand back on the other side of the studio and see it from far away.
So I'm going to do one more sip, and then I'm going to get back into it like you do. Like you do. I want to come add... Oops. There's this thing where my mic and my glasses... I'm going to come add a little bit of a highlight. I think I'll do it with my grass comb. I'm just going to come in with my lighter skin tone and get a little glaze and maybe some zinc. And just make sure that the front of the neck here is just a little more highlighted than what we have right now. The other place I need one is here. We lost a little bit to his hair. And we need to get One coming down the side of his face. So let's hope we get that correctly. Catching that little outer highlight. It's going to come up here. And interestingly enough, it's going to be a little bit bright right here. A little bit at the pulse of the forehead. Softening that out. Okay. It's doing pretty good. I'm going to base skin tone. Just lighten this up a little bit. And blend this back a little bit. So I'm just softening this. Put a highlight right there. Right inside the nose. There's an important little brow bone highlight you want to make sure that you've got right here before you put in his eyebrows. And you can add another one almost like right here. Keep defining those cheeks. A little bit right here in the round. So this is just fun to get into, right? Trim the lip a bit. I'm getting there. I'm going to take a little bit of the beard shadow color, which again, Prussian blue, the burnt umber, and the darker skin tone. And a little glaze. Make sure that right here, just a little bit, there's an extra dark shadow. So getting it.
Yeah, that's looking really cool.
It's looking really cool. So this here is a lot darker than you might think. I'm going to take the Prussian and the burnt umber and a little black. I'm going to go in and that's true on both paintings.
So
both photographs.
Holly was wondering if you like to do long, detailed paintings.
You know, I do. I enjoy this. I know it's not something we can do like every time on YouTube, but I do enjoy it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to be able to spend some time with a work, you know, and bring it to, you know, a nice conclusion. All right, so we've got some nice stuff that's happening there. We're going to go Prussian blue, burnt umber, and a little zinc. And we're going to start to put his beard in. It'll be on the edge of my brush here. And now the strokes that I'm making, they matter. And I'm going to start implying that texture here. And I may have to switch to a detail round just to keep control of the brush directionality. And because I'm up close on the piece, I'm going to probably pick a short-handled detail round. So I'm going to get this number 1. I'm going to get my mister out so my paint isn't making me go to the water bucket a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Marsh black, Prussian blue, a little zinc. Here we go.
Yeah.
Let's start talking about what's happening. So these are little strokes. They're little considered strokes. I'm going to take them up here. The fluidity of my paint, my brush, and the fact that I have been painting on my canvas for a minute is going to let me get a lot of good results. Any little hairs that you're implying, make them light. Don't make them too heavy or they'll become the whole painting. You need to have them here. You just don't want them too heavy. Now I'm going to bring the little brush stroke out because this is not neat and tidy. It's a chin hair. He's got some chin hair going. If you need to, you can get into the titanium white.
Oh, there you are.
To start talking about some of these. A little more intently. See, just look for the highlights. Comes down, maybe a hair or two gets caught here. Just enjoy this part. See it starting to come in?
I see it.
Now the brown is a little black in the burnt umber. It could be lighter.
They're all looking for the eyebrows to come in. He's starting to look very hot. He just needs to
have eyebrows.
Have eyebrows.
I'm adding some yellow ochre to warm this up.
So he goes from creepy brooding to smoldering melting snow guy.
Just okay.
There's a lot of feels happening about,
Yeah.
It's Lord Snow.
I get it. So see how the skin color being dark underneath starts to enforce what we're actually doing here?
Yeah.
So I'm going to take this black and brown over to my yellow because the beard needed to be warmed up.
Now, I was reading in chat earlier, someone was saying that it used to be that they would, that you would shave your eyebrows to indicate intelligence, like smart people had no eyebrows or something.
They had a higher forehead.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, it was a higher forehead.
But see, we know mentats know better. It's
mentats
all
do know better.
It's all about the eyebrows.
So just getting the color in. Alright, this is what we're doing. So many little hairs across the lip. You can see why a small brush here that gives you detail.
Yeah.
Super much your friend. How's he doing? I gotta look big and see how he's coming in.
See how he's.
Yeah, he's looking really good.
Yeah.
How are we all feeling about him?
Pretty good. It's interesting because there's a lot of people who are like, they know exactly who Jon Snow is, and then but other people who are like,
why are we painting this guy?
Who is this dude?
Why are we painting him?
Why is he wearing an IKEA rug?
Yeah.
Which are legitimate questions.
These are legitimate questions.
But to answer those questions, this is Jon Snow, Warden of the North.
He's you can tell people he's a character from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, he's from
More
Game of Thrones.
yellow, and then some zinc.
I don't know. I think the way that the Onion Knight introduced him was kind of the best.
I know, but it's a spoiler, so.
Just know that Onion Knight, I mean, like, he would be my herald. That's like who I would hire. I'd be like, this dude.
So we're just trying to, make sure that we're getting this taken care of. Getting in these little hairs. Hairs are happening.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of beard here, a little bit of beard here. Just putting a dark low light where I could use it.
I have to say, there's been a really, really great chat going on out here.
Has there?
Yeah, it's been just fantastic. And I know you don't get a chance to see that, but hopefully soon in our new technology, we're going to be able to incorporate some of the chat here in the broadcast. But I tell you what, they're having a great time out here chatting and there's not. I wouldn't say that there's a tremendous amount of art questions happening, but there's a lot of commentary.
I'm like, did anyone even come to learn to paint? I don't know.
So they're having a great. So someone just asked, does anyone know which brush that is? And instantly someone was like, oh, it's a liner. So
yes.
I mean, like, they have so it's not that there aren't questions being asked, but I mean, bang, as soon as as they ask them, they answer them. So,
but those are good for the show sometimes too.
And that's why sometimes I remember, but I also get caught up in reading the chat because it's really funny. And sometimes it's like, well, how do I interject this joke? But you really can't. It's like they've got a whole running series of jokes going on out here that you guys really should come tune in for. If you have a chance, come to one of the lives just to see the chat. It's great.
All right. I'm feeling okay about the beard now.
Now,
we got a beard in.
Which brush is that you were using there?
This is a number 1 round.
Yeah.
Any liner or detail brush will do this work.
Okay.
It's really just, and any one of those will do this work. I'm going to sip my coffee and then get into the eyes and then get into the hair. Even though I told you I wouldn't do the eyes first, we'll do the hair last. That way he looks pretty while we put in his hair. But that's really how you do a beard.
Is it?
Yeah.
Bearded it in. All right.
Missed. No, one more sip of coffee.
One more sip of coffee?
Sherpa's powered by coffee. And this is Jon Snow.
This is.
Which goes with Daenerys.
Which is right. We should let everyone know. Now, this is the other half of one of the couple half. Yeah. The other part. It's not really a 2-part. They're just sort of a, we've shipped them, as all the kids say.
Everyone, as soon as we did Daenerys, was like, you got to do Snow. And I'm like, oh, no, I do, don't I?
Yeah, that's where we put them in a relationship is what that, we shipped them.
We shipped them.
So they're together now. We have Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen painted so you can hang them on the walls together.
So it's the Prussian blue, the burnt umber again, right? And the alizarin crimson. Try to go over here where I don't have like a whole ton of water. If you need glaze, you have it. And I'm going to start trying to get in this brow line. So here is the front. If you look, it's fairly straight across. I'm going to just darken the skin. I'm not painting the brow yet. I'm just darkening the skin where I'm gonna paint the brow. This is not yet the brow.
Not yet the brow.
This is not yet the brow. Similar thing here, except some of this is dark and comes up, right? And I am shading here. So you see how these are kind of like on a line together? This curves around because it's a bit foreshortened. I'm going to grab this color and take this down just a titch in here. I'm just making sure that I've got light and shadow where I feel like I want it when I start to put in these eyes. Now, for me, this is the harder eye to work out. So I'm going to have to like get in there and work it out. So I'm going to take a little of my ochre into my base skin tone. Get a little glaze. And I'm going to start trying to get this area where I want it to be. So it's going to be about trying to catch this highlight. It's right here. Also, there's a bit of something happening right there to the opening of the eye. So just trying to catch those subtleties. There we go.
So I'm going to pass along some of these comments. There's a lot of people in here, Cinnamon, who've been talking about, that they struggle with different things, fibromyalgia, various different ailments that cause them to sort of had to be at home more than what they originally intended. And for various reasons, they found you, and the process of being able to paint with you and work with you has been very, very uplifting and helpful for them. And there's a lot of gratitude being expressed out here. And I just wanted to say thank you to all you guys. And we really appreciate it because
I really do.
Yeah, we love having you here with us. It's what makes our life magical. So
I'm adding a lot more. It's still my pink, right? I'm adding a lot more white to it though. So I can come right here and get in his so you see what happens over here is you see an inner lid. I got to make sure that that's there. And then when I have that, I can take my dark, like brow color, eyelash color, all that. And I can come under here, hopefully carefully. Just tap in the hint of that going on. The foreshortened eye is always a bit more of a challenge. Just tap this out, like imply some lashes or something is happening here. Then I'm going to get into my blue. Make sure that I've got my nice little shadow. Okay. So it comes off here. A little bit of this picked up. Interestingly enough, there is the weirdest tiny and yet what seems very important to me highlight. I'm going to do mine with zinc. So it's not too bright, but it's there. It happens right here. Right here. Getting my... So it's just about trying to make sure that the lid has got a little highlight, got the low light. And then hopefully, theoretically, when I bring this all in and its shadow and all of that, I'm on point. Now I'm going to try to do the blue eyes with just the Prussian. We'll see how that goes. But let's start talking about lightening that up in here.
Now, Amber was asking, would it be helpful to sand the canvas first?
Most serious portrait painters do sand the canvas first.
Are you saying you're not a serious portrait painter?
I'm saying I am not a serious portrait painter. I'm going to get some black, get some brown. I paint people, and I'll paint faces, and I'll paint portraits, and that's certainly stuff I like to do in my kit of things I enjoy painting.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. But it is definitely not a portrait painter. Portrait painter is a totally different animal. They'd already be done with these eyes. I'm just saying.
And generally, why do they sand those? Just for...
It smooths the canvas. It slows the wear and tear on your brushes so your brushes last longer.
No. You built yours like a tank, so...
Yeah. Well, because I met me. I've met me. I know what a problem I am.
But yeah, those an unsand canvas can really, especially on like a natural bristle, wear it down a lot faster.
Yeah. Get this little white here. I'm going to tap it off my canvas and see if I can't.
Now, isn't that how the filbert originally came about too?
What?
Wasn't a filbert like a square brush that had just been used until it got into that nice rounded shape?
Yeah, brushes, like the artist would just keep a hold of them until they became the shape that they really, really liked.
And then someone was like, "Can you make a brush that looks like this instead of me having to?" And then they were like, "Well, of course we can, man. Like we make brush look like anything." And the artist was like, "Really? All right." And that probably revolutionized an entire, like.
Give me a second, guys. I'm getting in. I'm putting in this highlight, and I'm going to have to come back and put a low light back in. But I got to get it in. Maybe I need to get into my detail round.
Your detail brushes.
It is important to have a way to see your canvas. If you need glasses, put on your glasses. If you need a magnifying lens. When I was younger, I have these jewelry loops.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
And I would...
We still have those. They just kind of block the thing for the show, so we didn't use them. They weren't not very... I still use them, though.
Do you?
Every time I have to solder something. I need robo eyes now just to see.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
All right, we're starting to get there. That eye is not your friend. It's not my friend. It's not anybody's friend. That eye, the 3/4 face usually falls apart at the foreshortened eye, which is why I tackle it first. Because once I get that, I can get the second eye, no problem. But I got to get that. I like to take the hard part of my canvas sometimes and give it a ring first.
That foreshortened eye there.
Mm-hmm.
It looks, because you made it white, it's lighter than the other eye, it pops forward now.
Yeah.
So his other eye is recessed back, but the far eye is now, so it's got that.
It's a whole problem, I know.
That figure foreground reversal is happening, and I'm freaking out.
It's just this whole thing. So just working out what we got to work out so that we got our eye.
Yeah, you're good.
Smidges.
You and your smidges.
Smidges matter, man.
Well, you smidged his eye into like awesome sauce.
Yeah, that's how you get there. A smidge at a time. Just a touch of this blue and quite a lot of this white.
Although I know some artists that get there like with a number 30 at a time. They're just like, wow.
I know.
What is, but
yeah, it's them. Okay, so once I have that value set, I will get my zinc. I prefer my zinc for this. You'll have to thin or something your white if you don't have it. And I'm going to add the start of his reflection with the zinc. And then I'm going to come tap it in with the white.
I can't zoom in anymore.
Yeah, that's as good as I'm going to do it.
That looks good.
I'll tell you that right now. That's at the top end of where I'm at. So I'm going to get my dark color. I'm going to come in and start adding his eyebrows, which I think everybody is really ready for.
Oh, Julie says, "Oh, those blue eyes. Do I hear drums? No, that is my heart."
So I'm just very carefully paying attention to the directionality of the hair. The fact that I had this dark shadow underneath is going to really help me. I'm just shading it a little bit. A little bit of shading never hurt an eyebrow. So I'm adding these little highlights. Comes forward because he's got some kind of crazy lighting on his eye. And again, you just tackle. So I came in and I added the shadow right there to the space. Trim that in. And I'm bringing this eyebrow up. A little bit. A little bit. Whoa. That got a little crazy.
He's going into Mentat territory there.
Yeah.
He's like, he swung the opposite way. He's like, no.
So if it's not dry, I can just come back with my brush and erase it. If it's dry, then it's a bit more of a problem. But if it's not dry, it's like, it's okay. You're just readier now. Nobody minds a ready Jon Snow. We can do this other eye. Finally. Oh my gosh. Just never get to the other eye. I don't know why. I don't know why. So I'm going to start putting in my shadows and my shapes to this eye. I'm going to start trying to get the basic shape of it down. You know, the line of his lid. It gets quite dark there, so it's like start getting in my shadows. Pulling that shadow down. So what you're really doing is I'm looking to make sure that I'm capturing how dark his lid is here, because it's actually pretty dark. I don't want to give him makeup. So there's a highlight here, but it's easier for me to tap that highlight in than try to paint a shadow around it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Grab a little of my skin tone here. And when I erase, that's what I erase with, is a little of my skin tone. Now I'm going to take a little of my dark red in my skin tone. You can always gray it with your darkening color. And I'm going to just make sure that right here, I catch that lid. See, it's just easier for me to paint that between the dark than it is for me to... Let's get a little highlight in the corner of his eye. Right here. And then I'm getting another little highlight. Really, really right here. I've got to make the eye be bigger. So I'll be dealing with that in a second. But first, so much shading to do. The glaze. I'll get my zinc. And let's start shading our eyeball. Coming under the lid. Shading this corner. comes right here, shading here. You can always shade along the underlid line to help drop the socket where it goes. This has got to touch the bottom, right? I just want to get my eye kind of done, and I'm going to get it in. I'm going to get some of my zinc. I'm going to come here and just lighten and soften this. Right here. Lighten and soften that. And then I'm going to lighten it a little bit right here. And there's another little light spot right there. Come again right here. So it's really just about finding all those little locations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll get back into my shader just for a second. Right. So my skin tone graying color is the blue and the brown. I get that right into my skin tone mixture. Glaze it if I need it. A little warm skin to mix it up, brighten it up. And just make sure that we're starting to talk about the areas that are even a little bit lighter in the shadow. Bring some of this darker color under his eye here. Just see, it's a very slight, like, darker color. But, you know, it lets people know he's a little weary. He's a little tired. And then this blends here. Soft, 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 soft. Blend, blend, blend. Comes down a bit. And to here a little bit. And then we're going to start coming right under here. Just darkening that a smidge where the lash line is. Smidge, 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 smidge. Also here. Glaze where needed. Glaze also helps me like improve the flow of my paint and keep it flowing better longer. So I'm going to just make sure that this comes down a little bit. And then it is dark, 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 dark in this corner. In that corner and a little bit under the tear duct. I know, crazy, crazy. I'm going to take a little of my red and a smidge of my skin tone. Just a couple places. Talk about that. Highlight. Right there. The corner of the eye. And let's see if we can't get this eye to be bigger like the other eye. So I'm going to get my blue. And try to get this not cross-eyed. That's my main job right now. Uh-oh, got a little big on the back side. So I'll have to tap that out. But better. See already?
Yeah.
Now the eyes are like where the eyes are meant to be. Where eyes are meant to be. But we're going to tap a little, this kind of encroached back. Or fix it just a smidge. we go. Whew. 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 There is a shadow.
Yeah.
As there always is. Across the eye. So I'm going to use my blue, my black, and my glaze.
Okay.
And make sure that I'm talking about this dark shadow across the eye. The dark, I'm just making sure my shadows are where I need them. Okay, now I'm going to put in, just to help myself out, my pupil right here. Hopefully, I've got it looking the same direction as, say, just any other part of the eye. And he's not going to end up cross-eyed, but we won't know until I start to tap in the highlights. So I'm going to take my pure blue and my white. And we're going to start trying to figure out if we can catch this highlight. Catching in the inner highlight. Tap, 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 tap. Barely, barely. I mean, I'm like barely putting pigment on stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't be cross-eyed.
Don't be cross-eyed.
Just don't be cross-eyed. You don't even have to look like Jon Snow all that much, but just don't be cross-eyed.
They gotta look in the same direction. Otherwise, it makes you feel like he's kind of funny. Like,
yeah.
you know, may not have all the crayons in the
No.
box there.
No.
A little crazy ad, like, you know.
No.
Maybe you were bonked on the head by one too many White Walkers.
No.
We're gonna give him the proper eye look, though. He's gonna give you that, like, that gaze that can melt ice.
I'm really hoping. I hope it all works out.
Instead of having one eye wander off, going, what's that over there? That's kind of pretty. Eyes can do that, though.
Eyes can do that.
They can wander off on you.
They do, man. Okay, I'm using my zinc now.
What color blue is that you're mixing?
This is still Prussian. I probably should have switched to phthalo to get the ice blue, but then I was like, why switch paints? So I'm just making sure. There we go. Oh my. All right, I'm going to get my zinc. And a hope and a prayer. Gonna get my titanium white. Put a little right here. A little here. And now I've got to darken for the lash line that I don't really have. How's he looking?
Really good.
I have not looked up, so I don't know.
He's looking really good.
Okay. Just bring the eyelashes forward a bit. And then they come forward a smidge implied in the eye. I mean like a smidge.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do just a bit of it here. Just a bit, man. Just a bit. Because you do too much, it's going to go all crazy on you. Then you're going to be like, what happened? And I'm going to be like, I don't know. It's hard. All right. Eyebrow hair color, and then we're going to do hair, and then we're going to be done. In theory. Aren't you glad we did some yesterday?
Oh, yeah. Now, if you need to, let me know. We can take a little break. I've got all my stuff queued up here, so.
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm feeling like perfectly good.
Good, good.
I actually plan to do another painting after we get off here today.
Right.
I had an idea.
Oh, good.
You're like, oh, good, more art. Because there's nowhere to put it anywhere in the house now. So I'm just very carefully paying attention to the hairlines. Just using this number 2 shader. There we go. I'll take it in. It is what it is, guys. Let's get some hair in.
Nope, wrong way. There he goes.
After I sip my coffee.
After
How
you
are we
sip your coffee.
feeling about him?
Good. Really good.
Really?
Everyone is saying that they love this so much. And, you know, I may need to take a bio break myself here, so I'm going to
Okay.
I'm gonna scoot over there while you're taking your
Coffee?
little sippy break, and I will be right back.
Do you want to give me a chat?
I don't know that I can on this one.
Okay, cool.
So, I will wait for you to get to your next mixing part, and then I'll jump off. I'll jump over there and do that. So what is next we have to do here? What are you looking at there? This is where you get to step back and take a look.
I'm making the face.
I'm gonna let you make that look in for a second.
So I'm just looking at how the image is shaping up, and you know, I mean, intrinsically I do like the skin tones, and I like the highlights and the lowlights, and I'm really loving the fur, and I like the beard and the eyes. You know, I think that there's some more eye detail here I've got to work out. Sadly, just like some lines and stuff like that to change that shape line there, and I also maybe need to raise up the shadow a little bit into my cheek highlight, and then I get to put in here. So that's what I have going on. Actually, I'm going to grab that shadow, which is my dark skin color and my brown and a smidge of my blue into the skin tone. And then I'll just get a glaze. I'm just mixing a quick shadow. I am getting back into that skin tone, and I'm toning it with a little Prussian. And I'm going to just try to very softly.
Oh, you can give him a little cheekbone there?
Just a little more.
A little more definition.
Higher up.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. And that's what it's always nice to be able to take a step back and look at the painting and, you know, have a moment to assess, because when you're right up on the painting, it's really hard. It can be challenging to see those things.
Very challenging.
I mean, just even that little extra line there, just, you know, highlighted on his that cheekbone, really squared his face up a lot.
Yeah.
You know, you can see a lot more from the background, and I imagine when you put this hair in too, that'll probably balance out the back of his head. You know,
One hopes so. You can hope so.
I mean, it's, you know, you haven't put any highlights on it yet, so I mean, it's just, you know, it's just black hair. But I think that he's looking really good there.
Well, thank you. So I'm just trying to capture a little of his, like, under his eye. Yeah. I don't know. We're getting there.
Yeah. Yeah, Rebecca says it's making him look a lot slimmer.
Yeah, you just got to look at your stuff.
Trim him down, get him into fighting form.
Yeah, sometimes you do. Sometimes you really, really do. Gotta trim these little dudes down and be like, no.
Well, it's about those layers, you know. It's you talk about that all the time. That you just got to keep working it until you're, you know, it's
until
where
it
you
makes
want.
sense.
Yeah.
Until it makes sense.
Until it's there.
Until it's there. You work it until it's there. Just creating a very faint lid line shadow. All right. And then rugged it out as...
Rugged him up.
Well, just around the eye a little bit, because he was just not looking like he'd been out. Looking like he'd been on vacation.
On vacay.
He's on vacay. Isn't that lovely? I'm going to just...
He's having a staycation on the wall.
make this eyebrow just a little more... See that?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. There just had to be a little bit more rusticness. He was just a little groomed. Hair! Back into my scumbly brush. Let's put some of this in here. Let's give him some hair. I'm going to get my yellow ochre into my burnt umber. Probably be lightening with zinc mostly. And I'm going to start trying to talk about...
You want to show them what you're going to work on there?
I'm working on the hair.
Now I've got the other. You've got a different reference photo there. So you switched over. So
Yeah, because the reference photo everybody voted on didn't have the top of his head. And I did not feel like not painting.
You wanted to be able to have that, so you went and grabbed the...
Yeah.
Okay. And I've just got it pulled out here so they can see what you're using as reference there.
So I'm just looking for some curls to pay attention to. Some highlights to think about. Putting also a little warmth into the hair. Now it's just time to get to the business of it.
Mm.
All right, probably going to use my grass comb, but we'll see if I change my mind. I'm going to spray my colors so that they're easy to get to. I'm going to take my burnt umber and cool it with my Prussian and get a little of my zinc. And we're going to start talking about some hair. So I'm going to come here on the hairline. I'm going to tap some of this in. And I'm painting in this sort of undertone of hairline, if that makes sense. Oh, Twixels. Get your black and brown. I'm going to come around here. I'll curl up a little hair and bring it down. Let's start curving off some lines of his curls. What?
Those golden locks that are going to, fall ever so.
There must be something going on in chat right now.
They frame him, right? Oh yeah, no. There's a whole thing happening here. There's request for body pillows and.
Body pillows.
Yeah, they're like, could you paint a 6-foot body pillow version of this?
Yes, I could.
Could. I guess you at home could too.
But if I tried to sell it, HBO would come and say, "Hey,
Kit would
or
probably,
R. Martin, somebody would show up."
That'd probably Kit this actor, be like, "Hey, that's my likeness."
Exactly.
Although he'd probably get a kick out of it too. Like, dude, there's a body pillow.
I don't know. You have to wonder what that feels like to people.
Gail's like, those are silver locks, not gold locks. I'm like, I'm all right, sorry.
So I'm just trying to create the little
true.
tendrils of hair that we have here that are coming on here. Just
Definite some feels about Mr. Snow.
coming on. It's okay to come above the body of your hair, right? Because we have hairs up into the air. So I can take these and, you know, talk about them a little bit. And you let the background show through, and then they're very, very delicate. Right, so when I'm bringing this up here and I come on the back, I will allow some of these to break ranks. Creating a situation where the edge of his hair is not a helmet.
Ah.
You want to start with the helmet, you don't want to finish with one. Come up here in the hairline. We're talking in the hairline. Bringing this down here again, hairline. Talk about the hairlines. Just breaking ranks where I'm gonna need to in a second. See right here, we broke rank a little bit.
Now, what is it with people who have curly hair want straight hair?
Yes.
And people who have straight hair want curly hair.
That's my experience.
People who have red hair generally don't want it, and people who don't have red hair definitely do want it. But occasionally you do find people who are like, no, I totally embrace my red hair. You certainly did.
I did.
Actually, I take that back. Most redheads do embrace their red hair.
What choice do we have?
It becomes sort of like a badge of honor through childhood. Like, they survived their hair.
How are we feeling?
I think that's pretty awesome.
So see, I'm just breaking rings here and making these little curls on the edge of this brush. Now, I think this is a great brush. I recommend this brush. But no, this is not the only brush in the universe that does this. Don't feel like, oh, I'll never get hair like that without that brush. That would not be true.
And that's that comb you were using
Yeah,
earlier?
this is the silver ruby satin filbert grass comb.
Gotcha. That's a mouthful.
Yeah. Mouthful or not, it's a pretty cool...
Whenever I hear about a grass comb, I think of like a golf course. Like, there's a bunch of dudes out there with a grass comb.
So I'm just making sure that the hair feels tousled. Once I have that kind of line developed where I'm happy with that, I'm going to get a little of my blue, mix it in, get a little of my zinc, and just start talking about the highlights. And maybe more individual curls. A little more zinc. Because in his hair, it's like a lot. It's like this here. It's hair, but in the unedited photo, it's just regular hair.
That's a really good question somebody asked. Amber was like, why is it called a grass comb?
The tip of the brush is trimmed to have little gaps that allow you to paint grass easier.
Yeah, so I can't zoom in. This camera, I'm maxed out on my zoom, but
More zinc.
Yeah, if you actually look at the brush, and if you go to Silver Brush's website and then just go look at the Ruby Satin Silver grass comb, you'll see it actually looks like a comb. Because they've cut the hairs on it to look like a comb, so that when it makes little brush strokes, like grass, right?
Exactly.
That's why it's called a grass comb. But it is, I guess it's, it is a funny looking brush.
It is a funny looking brush. How's he looking? Let me see.
Really nice. I like how you've done a little hair there.
All right, look back up. So he's starting to get tousled. He's starting to get windblown. He's starting to have hair.
Yeah.
I think once again I pugged a nose, but you know.
You pugged a nose?
I pugged another nose.
Oh, you made it have a little buttony nose.
It's a problem.
You gave him a little bit of a scoop. I guess in real life that nose
He's
has
much
been,
more Roman.
Well, that nose may have been struck once or twice. He's got that.
So what
kinda
I'll
like,
say
"Arr,"
is,
kinda
for me in my journey, if I spend some time with a piece and futz with it long enough, I'll get there. And the lesson of that is futz with it long enough, you'll get there.
Yeah, you could, if you wanted, you could make his nose a little more Roman.
Yeah, I just have to futz with it a lot. And I'm not unhappy with him. He's
No,
like,
he's-
it's a decent portrait, and it's okay.
I like it. I think
So
it's
this is the other reason why I don't call myself a portrait artist. Like, I can paint a face, but I don't call myself a portrait artist because, let me tell you, if you're trying to make money on this, you can't do that.
No, it would.
The client is not going to be cool with it.
Now, not in an insulting way, but this is a caricature of him.
No, this I'm painting him, but again, I'm not a portrait artist, so
yeah. So interesting. I like how the hair though is coming in with that comb brush though. I'm trying to catch what you're doing there.
just making sure I'm getting some highlights in there. I'm going to add a little warmth to the mix. With the yellow. So you just don't try to paint every hair. You just try to paint the shape of the hair. And maybe some of the hair. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. He's got that. I just got out of bed and my hair looks like Guy Tang spent 2 hours making it look awesome.
Yeah.
Because nobody just wakes up with awesome hair like that.
I don't know. So we're just not overworking it. Hopefully. Hopefully we're not overworking it. You hope. So that was the yellow ochre into my burnt umber and a little zinc. And I'm just finding little spots to curl a hair.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go get a little smidge of titanium white. It's going to have a huge impact.
Barbara says, for someone who's not a portrait artist, you're doing a really good job.
Well, thank you. Well, and I want to correct that because there are artists that paint not even that representationally that do portraits.
Yeah.
Right? They they paint you how they see you, how they feel you. And so you can be a portrait artist and not be like
a non-representational portrait
it happens.
Artist.
It happens, trust me.
That's like the person who I want to do my portrait.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. So I don't want to say anything that limiting. There's a lot of ways to skin a cat. Don't skin any cats.
Boy, there's a
lot of ways to paint a painting. You know, the best way is the one that makes you feel comfortable. The best way is the one that keeps you at the easel, keeps you happy, keeps you putting art on your wall.
Yeah.
You know, my wish for you is that you guys are like my mom and I were like, whatever, it's a painting. You know, I'll paint another one. I don't even care. Okay. So I'm just trying to make sure that he's... I'm feeling good. I'm going to call that a day.
Yeah?
I feel like we painted Jon Snow, and it certainly goes with Daenerys.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well, you gotta sign it.
Mostly mission accomplished.
You gotta sign it, and then you've also got to give us the back out view of it.
That's right.
So you gotta sign.
I gotta find my signing brush, which is gonna be a small detail round.
Yeah.
Yep. I left it in paint. I'm gonna really have to clean it now. Don't leave your brushes in paint. It's not good for them. Come just get a little of my black. Sometimes it's nice to mist instead of take your detail brush from the water cup to your paint to try to thin it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Finding a little spot.
Yeah, perfect. See what you're doing. Oh, there you are. Oh, yeah. Now I'm going to come back. I'm going to go over here and I'm gonna zoom back out on that. You want to tilt that up for us so we, oh, yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's good. I'm happy with it.
You're leaning back just a little bit there to catch more light.
I mean, he really needed hair.
Oh, yeah.
And eyebrows, like, desperately.
I think that looks cool. And see, he wears an IKEA rug like nobody's business.
Just...
I'm telling you, I wouldn't look that good with a rug on me. So
we did it. 2 sessions. We painted Jon Snow. We'll put him up in the thumbnail. I'm loving doing about face with you guys. Keeping painting faces, looking at all these different ways that we paint and create art and create faces. Stuff to think about when you're doing it is take time away from your painting so you can see what it is that needs to be changed.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let something in the painting steal your joy, though. Like, that pugged his nose. It's fine. It's not going to steal my joy. I'm still going to enjoy the painting for what it is. So don't let things just overwhelm you where you can't, continue forward to the next painting and getting caught on one thing until it's perfect, because it's just never going to be perfect. And your next painting's always going to be, better and better and better, and you're not done in the journey, so you might as well just keep on moving on.
Yeah. That's really good advice. Completion is a very important part of your journey.
A very important part of your journey. And we're going to keep doing this craziness.
Yeah.
We're going to keep doing it. So be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. I'm going to see you this, Friday at hopefully Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook willing. And night. And then Saturday for that beautiful red cloak, which I'm really excited to share with you guys. You guys are going to love painting that. I'll see you at the Easel really soon. Bye-bye.